Hello, and welcome to episode 99 of Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. And today I thought we would take from Barry's way of looking at things how to really be an individual in terms of creating lines as opposed to just playing other people's lines or things that people have played thousands of times already. So by that I mean, if we take a look at what most people refer to as, let's say, the major bebop scale, which would be a normal major scale but with a half step between the sixth and the fifth. So if we do it, let's say, in the key of G, we would say, if we do descending, it would be regular G major scale, except we have a half step in between the sixth and the fifth. Now that's a nice scale, works rhythmically perfect. But what Barry lets you know is, well, first of all, Barry doesn't believe in major bebop scales or dominant bebop scales, but that's a separate discussion. More important is what you need to feel is that half step in between 6 and 5. The way I started to see it after listening to Barry talk about it is it's a rhythmic placeholder. So that means that rhythmic placeholder can be a lot of different spots. So I might want to put the half step in between 6 and 5, but let's say I don't want to make it the sharp 5 or the flat 6. Let's say I want to make it a different note. So I'll decide, and this is what will make me individual, and this is what will make me sound unique from other people. So let's say instead, I'll say, maybe I'll jump back up to 7. So here's will be what I'll put. Instead of between the 6 and 5, which is what everybody plays, let's say I say, I'm never playing that again. I'm going to play this from now on. So now it's going to be, instead of between the 5th and the 6th, the flat 6th, I'm going to jump up to 7. There's my scale. So now anytime I have the inclination to play this, I'm going to play this. And even though it's a subtle difference, it is a difference. But let's say I didn't want to go up to 7. Let's say I wanted to drop down. So maybe I'll hit the 4th. That's a pretty scale too. Same scale, one half step, but the half step I put in a different spot, and now it has a totally different sound. So for instance, let's say I've decided I'm going to use that. Now that's going to be mine. That's going to be, I'm going to take it over. I'm going to say, okay, when I'm practicing, when I'm going to do the one half step, I'm not going to do it between 6 and 5. I'm going to put it between 6 and 5, but I'm going to make it the 4, not the flat 6. And let's say I take a tune like How High the Moon is in the key of G, which would be, if we were going to do the scales for it, it would be G major up and down, then C7 up and down. And it's going to do the same thing in F major, B flat 7, and here we got E flat major up, that's all. So that's as far as we'll do it. So we got G major up and down, C7 up and down, F major up and down, E flat 7 up and down, E flat major up, and we'll talk about what happens after that another time. But let's say we wanted to use our new idea, which is going to be putting the half step, instead of the flat 6, we'll make it the 4. So we'll start. We'll say 1, 2. Same thing for F. Same thing for F. So I did the one riff, the G major, and then I duplicated it on an F major. And I didn't play anything for C7, but maybe we'll play the scale there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And then, or whatever we want to do after that. But what is one of the other rules for the half steps would be, if you start on a note and run up to any other note, you use the rule for the note you started on. So if we started on tonic, let's say we ran up to the 2nd, still one half step. So normally it would be this, which is beautiful, but everybody puts the half step there. So let's not be like everybody. Let's say, that's a beautiful phrase. Now, where you might find on a lot of recordings something, you might find that. I think it's going to be a lot harder to find somebody playing this. And see, this is where we become individuals. This is why Barry's method allows you to do this. So I've never played this. I mean, this is not something that I've really practiced or that I know. That's why I'm kind of sloppy with it. But let's take How High the Moon and let's see if I can put it in. Let's see, in tempo. 1, 2. I used it all three of them. I used it for G major, not great, but I used it for G major. I used it for F major, and I used it for E flat major, which is the next one. Maybe I'll try, the first one I'll do, maybe I'll try to just do starting on the tonic, but maybe on the F major I'll run up to the second. So let me try it. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So the third one, I ran up to the 3. But then I did something fancy to get around the D7. But that's the idea. So see, so you take a thing and you say, okay, I'm going to practice it. And in this particular instance, we're practicing in 3 keys. G major, we're practicing in F major, and we're practicing in E flat major. So that's another little thing for us to take a look at so that we're not just playing in 1 key. And this song allows us to do that, How High the Moon. But also, it lets you feel something totally different that maybe you wouldn't have played before. So I don't know if I've, let me try to play it up to the 3 each time. And that's nice. I mean, listen to that phrase. That's a great phrase. Now I just put a triplet. For F major. Or oh. There it is. Really pretty. I love that sound. But it just shows you that, see, we get caught up in things, and what Barry's system allows you to do is say, okay, yeah, it's a common thing for people to put a half step in between 6 and 5. But let's really analyze that and see what they're doing. So the 6 and 5 is just a rhythmic placeholder. We could put that half step anywhere. It doesn't have to be there. As a matter of fact, if I even decided that's what the normal thing is between 6 and 5. Suppose I said I don't even want to put it between the 6 and 5. I want to put it between the tonic and 7, like kind of on a dominant scale. So I'll use Barry's chromatic scale and make it this. Since there is no half step between tonic and 7, I'll just jump up and grab the 2. So I'll do this. Also beautiful. Now I'm not even putting the half step between 6 and 5. I'm putting it someplace else. Let's see, maybe I can do it in between 4 and 3. That's nice too. What was it again between 4? Also beautiful. So these are endless. So there is absolutely zero reason for us to repeat everybody else's phrases when we have the ability, or at least Barry gives us the ability to do it. So I always talk to my students about this. Like for myself, I don't know how everybody else learns, but I'm a particularly slow learner. So I have kind of three phases that I go through. The first phase is the discovery phase, or as one of my students in Holland calls it, he calls it Barry's Playground, which I love that idea of Barry's Playground. So it's the discovery phase. So it's just working on maybe putting a half step someplace where you haven't put it before. Then it's the second phase where, okay, I have to learn, let's say, this phrase, and I have to learn it in a few keys, and I have to learn it in different positions on the guitar or on my horn or whatever, piano, different keys. Then it reaches, you get comfortable with that phase, then it reaches the third phase, which is you're on a gig or you're performing or it's time to play and you don't have time to check something out. You've already gone through those two stages. Once it reaches that stage, it's at the, I've internalized it and it's part of me phase. So at least that's how I learn things. So you could take this concept that we're talking about, which is putting half step in different spots, and you can come up with your own thing. And I'd love to hear what maybe in the comments what people come up with. Because again, this is the thing that I feel like Barry makes you feel with his method, he makes you feel like it's really up to you. And you can be as creative with it as you'd like, you know? Not to say that you can't put a half step in between 6 and 5. I still do it all the time. But why do I do it all the time? I do it all the time because I practiced it. I got it to the second phase, and then it comes out in my playing. So there's no reason why I can't make my new half step that 4 like we've been doing. Practice it, get it together. I've discovered it. I have to get it together. And then the third phase will be I'm playing How High the Moon someplace or whatever tune we're playing, and it comes out. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. And until next time, enjoy Barry's method with creating your own lines and becoming a real individual. Till next time, thanks.